Scrapefoot. A long time ago, there were 3 bears who lived in a large castle in the woods. One of them was a great big bear, one was a middling bear, and the last one was a little bear. In those same woods, there was a fox who lived all alone. His name was Scrapefoot. All of the animals in the woods were very scared of the bears. Scrapefoot was too, but being curious by nature, he wondered how the bears lived in such a large castle. One day, as he went through the wood, he found himself near the castle and thought to himself, I wonder if I can get in. I'd love to see what's inside. He was not so curious that he forgot to be careful. So Scrapefoot looked around the castle and sniffed here and sniffed there, until he was satisfied that the bears were not around. Quietly he went up to the great door of the castle and tried the handle with his paw. His heart leapt with glee. Yes, the door's not locked. So he opened it just a little and poked his nose in to have a wee look. There was no one about. He opened the door a little more and put one paw in and then another. And next thing he knew, he was all in the bear's castle. Scrapefoot found himself in a great hall with 3 chairs in it. A big one, a middling one, and a little chair. Chairs were a rare thing in the woods, and he'd never sat in one before. They did look very inviting, and he began to think of how nice it would be to sit down and have a wee rest. So he sat in the big chair, but it was hard and uncomfortable and made his bones ache. He jumped down and went onto the middling chair instead. He turned round and round on it, but just couldn't get comfortable. So he went to the little chair and sat down. It was warm and cosy and very comfortable. Scrapefoot settled down happily, but all at once it broke to pieces under him. He tried to fix the little chair, but found that he couldn't put it together again. So Scrapefoot decided to continue exploring the castle instead. He soon came across a room with a large table in it, and on the table there were 3 saucers filled with milk. One was very big, one was middling, and one was very little. Scrapefoot was thirsty, so he went up to the big saucer. As soon as his tongue licked the milk, he yelped, "Ugh!" It was sour and nasty, and he wouldn't taste another drop of it. He went to the middling saucer and drank a little. Just a mouthful or 2, but ugh! It wasn't nice either. Lastly, he tried the milk in the little saucer. It was so sweet and so nice that he lapped at it until it was all gone. With his belly now full, Scrapefoot was in a good mood for more exploring. He wondered what he would find upstairs. So he sniffed and he listened, and once he was satisfied that there were no bears about, he went slowly up the stairs. Scrapefoot found a great room with 3 beds in it. A big bed, a middling bed, and a little white bed. He climbed onto the big bed, but it was so hard and lumpy that he jumped off it straight away. He tried the middling bed. It wasn't as lumpy, but he still couldn't get comfortable on it, so off he jumped. Lastly, he tried the little bed. It was so soft, so warm, and so very cosy that he curled up and fell fast asleep straight away. After a time, the bears came home, and when they got into the hall, they noticed that the chairs had been disturbed. The big bear went to his chair and said, "Who's been sitting in my chair?" The middling bear said, "Who's been sitting in my chair?" And the little bear said, "Who's been sitting in my chair and has broken it all to pieces?" They went to have their milk, and the big bear said, "Who's been drinking my milk?" The middling bear said, "Who's been drinking my milk?" And the little bear said, "Who's been drinking my milk and has had every last drop?" Then they went upstairs and into the bedroom. The big bear said, "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" The middling bear said, "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" And the little bear said, "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" And with an astonished look, "Look, they're still there!" The bears crowded around the sleeping intruder and discussed what they should do. The big bear said, "Let's hang him." The middling bear said, "Let's drown him." And the little bear said, "Let's throw him out of the castle window." Scrapefoot woke with a startle and saw a big bear grab his 2 legs on one side, whilst a middling bear grabbed his 2 legs on the other side. They lifted him into the air, swinging him backwards and forwards, and then they threw him out of the window. As you can imagine, poor Scrapefoot got the fright of his life when he hit the ground with a thud. His first thought was, "Oh, every bone in my body must be broken." But he got up and shook one leg. Nope, that's not broken. And then, "Well, fancy that, it's not broken either." And then another and another. Then he wagged his tail in delight and found that there were no broken bones at all. So off Scrapefoot galloped home as fast as his legs would carry him.